Hey y'all, I have a question. Why is the left losing the mic battle? Find out on today's episode of We Got Time today. Let's be real. Republicans are out here with viral podcasts, turning wild conspiracy theories into mainstream talking points, while Democrats are just fighting to keep up. Now, welcome to We Got Time Today, the podcast where we break down the news, the culture, and the conversation. I'm your host, Will, and today we're answering the question, why is the left losing the mic battle? Now, before we dive in, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a single episode of We Got Time Today. So, let's start talking about the elephant in the podcast studio. No shade, Republicans and conservatives are killing it in the audio space. We've got the Daily Wire turning Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens, Matt Walsh into full-blown political influencers. You've got Steve Bannon's War Room dropping multiple episodes a day like it's a Fox News factory. And Dan Bongino, the man is practically the Joe Rogan of right-wing rage. Now, here is why, in my opinion, the right is winning. Number one is message disciplined. They stay on brand and they stay on message, whether it's woke culture, open borders, or parental rights. They will beat that message into the ground until it becomes the gospel. Two is emotional triggers. They tap into fear, into anger, and even into pride. It's not about facts, it's about feelings. Then it's the frequency and reach. These shows drop content daily, sometimes even multiple times a day. Plus, they splice up clips, put them on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and boom, 3 million views before brunch. And then lastly, entertainment value. Look, some of them are wrong. But where they do well at is that they're loud, they're punchy, and they know how to keep your attention. Let's use Ben Shapiro, for example. Ben Shapiro clips get shared not because he's right, and half of the time he's not, actually all the time he's not, but because he sounds really confident. Candace Owens gets quoted because she speaks in absolutes and not nuance. That's dangerous, of course, but it's very effective. Now, let's talk about what's not working. Let's talk about the left, which is essentially our side of the mic, right? But we have some problems. Sure, we've got big names like Pod Saves America, The Ezra Klein Show, Strict Scrutiny, Love It or Leave It, smart people, 100%. Thoughtful conversations, absolutely. But let's keep it real. They're not moving the culture like the right is. And in my opinion, here's why. These are too policy heavy. These shows sound like you're sitting in a policy seminar at an Ivy League college, which is fine. We love the Ivies. Unless you're trying to win over folks who just got off a double shift. And honestly, they want to understand why the rent is too high. They're preaching to the choir. Most liberal podcasts that I listen to are built for people who already vote blue. But the right, they're targeting everyone. Independents, suburban moms, TikTok teens. And then these podcasts have inconsistent uploads. When something wild happens, like Roe v. Wade getting overturned or school shootings, you gotta be the first one on it. You have to be loud and you have to be everywhere. But some of these liberal shows, no shade, they're crickets until next Thursday's planned drop. And then there's a lack of storytelling. Like when you listen to these pods, are they great? Yes. But they differ from the pods on the right because of the lack of storytelling. Progressives love facts and figures. We live in the world of data. But what about people's stories? Republicans are out here telling emotional tales. Fake, but it works. So now, let's look at some stats, because obviously I told you we love data, right? But let's use these stats for example. 65 of Republicans, or people who lean Republican, say that the news is discussed on podcasts that they listen to, which is compared to 69% of Democrats. So the margin of error is within 4%, and so we're good there. Yet, Republicans are more likely than Democrats to trust the news they hear on podcasts more than other sources. So, let's take a trip back in time, shall we? All right, stay with me. Let's talk the 2016 election, where we saw a shift in the electorate favored Trump. We saw 47% of men with a high school diploma or lower go for Trump. Now, recently, former President Obama said on a podcast with Michelle Obama that we spend a lot of time and energy focused on uplifting our girls. And rightfully so. Like, I'm not saying that's a problem, but what are we doing about the boys? And to be honest, as you can see, some of the top podcasters are right winged. Podcasters like Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn, Tucker Carlson, Charlie Kirk, they're influencing boys in ways that we have never seen before. It really is emotion over facts. And for some reason, after COVID, that seems to be where we're living in. Is that emotion over facts? People are more in tune with their emotions on how they feel versus listening to facts. And it's just the climate of today that we just have to navigate. But why does the messaging matter? Let's use some examples. Here, the right invokes an emotion. Make America great again. Women's are ever great for a certain kind of people. But make America great again stokes an emotion in you. Whether or not is it a good emotion or a bad emotion? It stokes an emotion. Let's go Brandon. We already know what that meant. But we have impeach Biden, protect Second Amendment, stop Democrats, women's rights, protect our freedom, stop abortions, drain the swamp, Trump 2024, mass deportations now. All of that stokes an emotion in you. But you also know it's really easy to digest. If somebody hears mass deportations, you already know what that slogan stands for. You know what that mission is all about. Make America great again. Whether or not you agree on this sentiment or not, you have an emotional response to this. And so therefore you're going to be like, hey, what's happening? What's going on? Drain the swamp. You already going to be like, oh, wait, there's money involved. Something is happening. We need to ensure that the money gets placed in the right ways. All of this, protect Second Amendment. Oh my God, you mean to tell me that I can't carry my gun? Something is happening. We need to protect this. Impeach Biden. You know, he's corrupt. We got to protect our children, freedom of speech. All of that encompasses an emotional response from you, which is what the right is really good at. Now, are these facts? Absolutely not. Would half of these policies works? No. But are they effective? They really are. Now, the opposite can be said on the left. So we have things like democracy is on the ballot, a new way forward. Right, when we fight, we win. Women's rights, equal rights, gun control, Supreme Court, Black Lives Matter, protect voting rights. I'm with her, love trumps all. Right, middle class first, hope, change, yes we can. Or just, Biden Harris, or, Obama Biden. Where is the emotion? Where is it? Democracy is on the ballot. If I'm lacking a high school diploma, if I'm in the rural parts of America and I hear democracy is on the ballot, if I'm not super inclined to listen to left-wing news and I only hear democracy is on the ballot, I'm gonna be confused. Rise up. What are we rising up about? A new way forward. What is this new way? What's the new way forward? The messaging is not getting across as what the left thinks they should. To me, better healthcare, minimum wage, prosecute Trump, protect voting rights. I'm like, yes, I'm in it. For a new way forward. Yes, we're not going back. I am with you 100% because I understand the context in which you are giving me the slogan. I get it. But if I wasn't up to par, if I wasn't up to speed with these issues, I would not understand the messaging. And so, therefore, we need to realize that a part of why we always feel like we're playing catch up is because our messaging matters and our messaging is not winning right now, right? So we just need to reckon with that because there is something that can be said about what we're not doing that can actually potentially help us. So now you may be thinking, Okay, well, so what? Conservatives are better at podcasting. What's the big deal? Well, this is the big deal. Podcasts shape minds. Minds shape votes. Votes shape power. So let's talk about some of these receipts. Bannon's War Room played a major role in spreading Stop the Steal propaganda. That didn't just live online, it literally turned into a violent insurrection. I remember where I was watching January 6th happen. Matt Walsh's podcast fueled anti trans panic that led to over 500 anti LGBTQ plus bills being introduced this year alone. And then school board moms? Well, let's just say those in swing counties, they're quoting right wing podcasters more than their local representatives. Meanwhile, the left is still arguing over tone and tweet formatting. So, this is not a game. This messaging war is real. And right now, we are getting dragged. Okay? So, what can we do about it? Here is how I think. People on the left, people like me. Here's where I think we can stop being background noise and really start being the headlines. One, we rebrand policy with personality. Progressives care about real issues like healthcare, wages, climate. But it's time to sell it, right? Make the big ugly bill that the Republicans just passed, make it sound like a mixtape and not like a budget proposal. Let's turn the narrative. Let's switch it. Let's make it fun. Right? Let's lead with emotion. Don't just say we need gun reform. Say, you know what, you should feel safe dropping your kids off at school. Tap into that rage. Tap into hope. Tap into the heart. Tell real stories. Forget about the stats, even though we love data. And that might be a little hard because I really love data. And so I find that to be really complicated. This is a really complicated one. When I wrote this down in my notes, I was like, really? But yes, talk about Maria who got evicted while she was working two jobs, or Jamal who couldn't vote because of voter suppression. Focus on humans over headlines. Go daily, go short, go visual. Stop waiting for the perfect long form podcast. Drop 60-second hot takes here and there. Make them funny, make them fiery, upload them to TikTok, Reels, YouTube Shorts every damn day. Every damn day. Pop culture is political. You want to reach people? Talk about Beyonce's tour. Talk about Big Brother, Love Island, Grand Theft Auto, and then sneak in some justice here and there. You know, we love talking about, Cardboard Carter, but then, throw in a little bit like, hey, the big ugly bill ain't gonna make you ain't gonna be able to pay for these tickets, right? Do that. Because that's what conservatives are already doing. They just do it louder than we do. And then invest in new voices. We need more creators who are black, brown, queer, Gen Z, more Bronx, and less like the Beltway. I'm not talking about the highway, but you know what I mean, if you're into geography or not. Right, that's where the real movement lives. And then train and fund the damn creators, right? Put money behind podcasts that can win the war, not just the ones that make donors feel smart. Where's the infrastructure? Where's the DNC's podcast division? Hell, where's the left's Joe Rogan? Like, who's that person? I don't know if we have one, to be honest. Drop in the comments if we have like the left's version of like Joe Rogan, because honestly, I really don't see our base having someone who was just as fiery like Joe Rogan. You know, it's crazy how he went from like Fear Factor to like the Joe Rogan show. Wow, that evolution is crazy. Somebody needs to study that. Maybe I'll put it on an episode if we got time today. Maybe I have time for the evolution of Joe Rogan. But I digress. Look, the right understands whoever controls the mic controls the message. Whoever controls the message controls the narrative. And whoever controls the narrative controls the damn country. Hello. Hi. We're seeing it with Trump. Right. So now, if you learned something today, or if you're just tired of being outshouted, outplayed, and outmaneuvered, do me a favor. Like, comment, and subscribe. And tell a friend. Because we got time today. Every episode, every truth, no apologies. Until next time. Bye.